Hello, girl, what you thinkers? Welcome to our exciting 10th episode, Spooktacular. Today we have the first week of October. Today we have our very first guest here on this podcast. It's very exciting times. We're making money moves. We have a great guest here, Jonas Poggi.
Poggi! I actually paid Anna and Angela both $250 to be here. So it's a pretty fair trade. Money moves.
Money move. He supports.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I got you guys.
All right, so today, thanks, Jonas. Jonas is an old friend of ours from the University of Laverne. We were RAs together, and we roamed the halls, and we ruled the school.
We really did.
That is so true.
Okay, so today's episode, we brought Jonas on here today to talk about red flags in relationships and life in general, because we've had one of many struggles and situations being in undergrad and relationships being in a young adult situation. So Jonas, you want to talk about maybe have you ever experienced like a toxic relationship or like your first experience with like red flags?
Ooh, okay. I think that I have two examples, but I think the first one that I want to talk about is just like, in my opinion, for at least like a romantic relationship, the biggest red flag that comes to mind is just like not being willing to communicate with your partner. I'm someone as someone who just is pretty extroverted and talks a lot, I think that communication is like super, super important in any relationship. And I had a relationship where the person I was dating was like going through a rough time, but like she wouldn't communicate with me where she was at. So it made it really hard for me to like be supportive for her or to like help her out or like be there when she needed me, because I didn't know that she needed me there. So I think that is something, if your partner, significant other, friend, whatever, isn't willing to like, sort of be upfront, be like, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm feeling. I think that's like, if they're not willing to do that, and then like they try and blame that on you, I think that's probably a big red flag.
I would agree. I mean, for all the girl what you thinkers. Oh my God, there's a squirrel right outside my window. I was like, what is happening and why?
Yo,
I was like,
he's trying to listen to the pod.
Hey, squirrely.
Get him on here. Ask him about red flags.
Yeah. But yeah, all the people that watch Girl What You Think and who know me know that I've never been in a long-term relationship, but I do think, oh man, my mom, she just popped in too.
Tell her to get out of here. We're talking about red flags.
Tell her to get in here. We gotta ask her if she knows any red flags.
Honestly, it's the divorced mothers who know the most about red flags. I don't even know
Mom, Hannah's squirrel. They're gonna be.
Hannah, you gotta finish your statement. What are the girl what you think? What are they gonna do?
They know that I've never been in a relationship at all.
Girl, what are they thinking?
Girl, what are they thinking?
So you know that I agree with you, Jonas, like 100%, because I think communication is big in general, like just in life. Like, how can you can't expect people to read your mind. And so I think that goes.
Your girlfriend at the time, I'm sorry if I'm exposing you, and if you're not comfortable, we can edit this out. But I know that she was dealing a lot with like mental health and her going through something. So how do you find the line between being a supportive boyfriend and then knowing when you need to leave a situation?
I mean, I guess it's a two-way street. Like, you have to do both of those things, but the other person still has to be willing to meet you where they're at. And I, in the relationship that I'm in now with my long-term girlfriend, I always like make a note of it. Like, if I'm going through something, I'm like, I gotta let her know, especially because we've been long distance for 6 freaking months. Like, I gotta let her know, hey, like, this is where I'm at, or this is what I'm feeling, because I know that like she can't read my mind either. So if I'm going through like a hard time, like 2 weeks ago, I had to evacuate because of the forest fires. And I was like, hey, just letting you know, I'm going through it right now. Just want to put that on your radar. And because, we have good communication, it's able for me to like let her know about that. Or when she was going through stuff with her family over the beginning of summer, I was like, hey, it looks like you're going through it. Where are you at? And then she was like, oh yeah, I'm going through it. So I think it's like making sure, I think that like having open and constant communication about just your mental state with your partner is sort of what solves that issue. So like, I always try to be transparent with people, and it doesn't even have to be like romantic relationships. It's like friendships too. If I'm like committed friends with someone, I always try and be upfront, like tell them like where I'm at with my mental state. If I'm expecting someone to like support me, I feel like I have to like, because it's a two-way street, I feel like I have to let them know like, hey, I need support, or like, hey, I'm dealing with this, I might need support in the future. So I guess it's like having that to create your expectation.
And then your girlfriend never did that. She would just not reply, or what was the red flag there with that person?
The red flag was that it was she tried to like turn that on me. And like tried to paint me as like the bad guy in our relationship, when I literally just had no idea what was going through her head at the time. And it's like, I feel like I feel like I was totally in the dark, and that she was keeping me in the dark, and then that she was blaming me for being in the dark. And I was like,
red flag.
Smells a bit fishy. Right. That could be a red flag. And it was. We broke up.
The tea.
That is the tea with Jonas Poggi. I'm gonna create a spin-off podcast. That's gonna be the title. I'm sure there are like 20 podcasts that already have like that's
only
the tea,
if you have
something
us as
like
guest
that.
Stars, then you can.
First episode guest stars, yeah.
Perfect.
That's interesting.
You guys have to give me my $250 back.
No, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to speak to
my
lawyer.
I spent it already.
Tyler Poggi. That's my lawyer's
Tyler,
name.
I hate that guy.
Tyler. Well, I was going to say that's interesting that it was, stereotypically, it's usually the man who doesn't usually communicate their feelings as easily. And we have another friend who's going through a situation like that, to where he and his girlfriend had to break up because there was not a lot of communication from his part. So I think that being able to, we're in a point in society to where there's so much access to communication that it's either hurting relationships or improving them, that you have to be so like emotionally intelligent and ready to commit. Because, in the 50s, the husband would go off for months at a time or whatever, I don't know. And it's like communication now is like, you got to tell me where you're at most of the time. Or, there's more long distance or dating apps to where communication is so constant. And if you're not somebody who's able to express their emotions, or understand their emotions at a certain time, that you probably won't be very successful in the way that dating is nowadays. Because some people don't like to talk about their feelings or want to share everything, and which is fine, but you usually it's harder for you to build connection.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That checks out.
What about toxic relationships in more a short term? Like, what's a more red flag where it's just like, this person was snorting coke behind my back? Like, what's some red flags to you? Like, more fun ones, maybe not long term, but like, have you ever had like
take you to McDonald's on the first date?
That's a good one.
Jonas. Okay.
Angela, what happened with that guy? I'm sorry.
That's the end of this interview. Thank you, Jonas.
Just booted off the pod.
What happened with him?
Yeah.
Girl, let me tell you what I think. What happened to him. No, he just he wanted to see me again, and I said no. And then I didn't block him yet, I let him see my story, but I didn't follow him on Instagram anymore. But then he was like, I really want to take you on a date. And I did tell him, I said, you took me through a McDonald's drive-thru. I know. And he was like, oh. To me, there's such a divide with people. It's they want to humble themselves and be like, I wouldn't, I would let a guy take me through a McDonald's drive-thru. That doesn't matter to me as a first date. And yeah, there's certain situations.
But because you said that the last time, and I just feel like you gave him what you wanted to do, and it's not like what you wanted to do was any more expensive than going through the McDonald's drive-thru. You wanted to go get tea.
Don't even want to talk about that.
In my mind, that's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
If I'm driving with a girl and they're like, hey, let's go check out this coffee shop or something, and I'm just like,
have you heard of the new McGriddle chickens?
You want some McGrids?
That's literally what happened to me. But it's not I could be pull over. I could have, but I didn't. And so it was such a weird serial killer situation. I'm in the car of this big truck next to this guy who's 6'7". He's a big guy. And he's driving, and we're right at that intersection of Oaks and that liquor store. And it was he either turns left towards Claremont or right to go back around towards the McDonald's. And it was right then. He was I was like, yeah, Claremont's left. And he was like, you want to try one of those McDonald's new McGriddles? And he turns right. And I was like, this is who I am now.
See, in my mind, that's a red flag. Because I'm like, why would you not even entertain a conversation with another human being about
Jonas,
what they want to spend their day on?
Jonas, I'm not denying that that's a red flag. I know that's a red flag.
Type A red flag right there. S-tier red flag.
And then the lying. Have you ever been lied to? Someone says they love you and then they don't. Just kidding. I'm trying to think of a red flag, Z's. Hannah, do you have any red flags?
I think lying is a red flag. I don't like when people lie.
And sometimes it's their values they lie about.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. I guess personally, I'm not as sensitive as other people. I don't know. And so I feel like a lot of people in those situations lie because they don't want to hurt your feelings, but it's if I find out you're lying, that's going to hurt my feelings anyway, so you might as well just tell me.
In my mind, lying is one of those things, sort of going to the McDonald's drive-thru, where it's just so easy not to do it.
Do it, right.
Well, it's what could possibly be such a big deal that you just have to lie to someone about it when you could just be honest with them instead? And that's a super easy alternative. It's why am I gonna make a right to get me some chicken McGrids when I could just let's go to the tea house. Fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get what's so difficult about that.
And I don't know. And I don't know why, and it hurts my vision of what my worth is at that time. Is it is that what guys are? That guy ruined it for so many people. Everyone should just be better.
Angela's never gonna trust another man again.
No.
I can't blame you.
Speaking of not trusting men, do you feel like you have done a red flag in your life, in your relationships? Big question. It's a big question.
That is a big question.
It's hard to reflect.
I mean, yeah. I'm thinking maybe big red flag. It's just I could think of shit that I said or shit that I thought was cool when I was younger. Mm-hmm. That was just me being a poser, trying to seem like I was cool because I was very insecure as a kid. And like, I could definitely see how like something like that could come off as red flag-ish. But like you said, hard to reflect because I was probably like 15 trying to act like a cool 15-year-old. And I, for one, have not personally met a whole lot of very cool 15-year-olds. And that is like, no offense to 15-year-old listeners. I'm sure you're great. But like, it's very easy to try and like make yourself into someone you're not because you're not okay with who you are. And I can see how something like that could be a red flag, but like something like that is rooted in like your own insecurities.
Right. And that time period is so hard to feel comfortable, like you said, being who you truly are. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't consider that a red flag. If you were doing that now, maybe I would.
Yeah.
But like then it's like, I mean, that time is hard for everyone. Like, I wasn't the best when I was 15, you know, like I don't really remember what I was like when I was 15, but that was almost 10 years ago. What? That crazy. But I'm sure I was like, oh, I like this stuff. When in the back of my head, I was like, I really hate it, but I just want to seem cool or something like that, you know. But now I'm like, I don't like that stuff. So if you, I would say that if you did that now, then it would be like, do you have to pretend to be someone you're not? But
yeah, if someone did that now, that would be a big red flag. Like, I would be like, why are you doing this?
A grown 15-year-old? That's like the worst. Yeah, our standards definitely evolve over time. And I feel like you're constantly learning what your red flags are. Because some people love what other people find as a red flag.
Like what?
Like I don't know. Example? For me, one that I think of automatically is like a red flag for me is if my boyfriend is constantly smoking weed. And some people are like, I need a guy who smokes weed all the time. You know, so there's like, you set your standards for yourself from experience. You know?
Yeah.
And everybody's so different. You can't, like, some people would be like, oh my God, this guy's so real. Like, I love McDonald's. Like, he's just a humble guy, and I want that.
Sorry, just because you brought it up again, I will say that my girlfriend is from Florida, and she likes fast food a lot. And when we came to California, I was like, babe, we got to go to Baker's. And like, that was a big deal. And she was vibing. Like, she was having a bad day. And I was like,
we got to go to Baker's.
We're going to the Baker's drive-thru.
What did you get?
Oh, man. I think she got a burger, and I think I got, like, a beef and cheese burrito. Keeping it simple.
What'd she think?
She loved it. She was floored. It turned her day around.
Are you serious?
She also was just, like, annoyed because she was hungry and just needed some food.
Their little jingle for Christmas time is let Bakers do the cooking, and you'll see how good you feel.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never even... Like, I mean, we don't have Bakers where I live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm like as southern. I'm as Inland Empire as it gets. Yes, Cerritos Auto Square.
Yes, Cerritos Auto Square. I know that one.
Like, all the radio jingles are embedded in my head. Scandia. Classic. You ever drove by Scandia? It's not there.
Oh my God, Scandia.
Yeah,
it's not there.
They took it down. Even the big roller coaster.
It's all gone.
Yeah. Oh, Scandia got canceled, actually.
You know what also got canceled? That Boomers that was
Scandinavian started protesting.
Off the 10. You know? That Boomers.
Boomers. I don't know what that is.
It's like,
Boomers.
It's like a
by Laverne.
family fun center.
Oh.
I was going to call it Mulligan's, but that's what we have by my house. It's like Mulligan's. No one knows what that is.
When I drive to your house, Hannah, I see Fiesta Village.
What's that?
It's a...
Oh,
like
yeah.
Except...
Yeah.
In a different location.
Yeah. Oh, that's what Boomers is. Okay.
Boomers? How that name has aged.
Boomers.
It's the old ass amusement park.
Tragic.
It's called Boomers. Hey, you wanna go with Boomers?
What other questions do you have, Angela?
Well, the other question we wrote down is, what red flags do you look for now because of that toxic relationship that you had? But I feel like we kind of covered that.
With the communication.
Yeah.
You mentioned life red flags, like
when you transferred. Do you want to tell that story?
You transferred and
Yeah. So bit of background. When I was a freshman, sophomore, I went to college with Hannah and Angela. I met Hannah in freshman year, and then I met Angela sophomore year when we were all on the same staff together. And then at the end of my sophomore year, I transferred schools to go to school in DC, and now I go to George Washington University, and it's a great school, and I love it, and I love all my professors and my friends, and like it has been like my, you know, COVID, like getting kicked out of campus stuff excluded, like that college experience I had was like worlds apart from the college experience I had going to Laverne.
Good or
and
bad?
I guess they're good. Laverne was just
fuck Laverne.
Trash.
Yeah, fuck. Okay, because it's a fine line. Like I met so many incredible people at Laverne, like you guys, and everyone, like the people on staff who we love, like great professors. Like there were a lot of really good people, and like I love the people at Laverne, but Laverne as a school just like was not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a part of me always knew that, so that was like a red flag, that it was like, small school, close to home, not really a lot of things that I was like interested in. But like I sort of just like told myself like, no, you're just being picky, like you're going to a good school, like you already decided to go here, suck it up and deal with it. But like I think there were definitely some red flags about like, I didn't, like I don't know about you guys, if you guys ever did this when you were on duty, but like staying on campus over the weekends when no one is there
is the saddest thing on the earth.
It is the saddest thing on earth, and I did it almost every weekend my freshman year. And like I didn't have to. I had a car. I could have gone seen like my friends in Redlands. I could have gone hung out with people who lived off campus. But I just thought like, oh, it's college. I should like stay on campus, like I live in this dorm. And that was like bad for me. And I didn't realize that it was like taking a significant toll on my mental health for 2 years that I was there. And there were points when it was better, there were points when like I was enjoying it more. But at the end of the day, there was still that like sort of internal thing that like, I don't feel like this is the place for me. And I think like there were just like, I think that was a case of like ignoring red flags. And it's like, if I had done that, I could have transferred like at the semester, or I could have transferred at the end of my freshman year or something. And obviously that would have not been a good decision because I wouldn't have met Angela. So like transferred some point after I'd met Angela, then it all would have been good. But like,
yeah, we had some interesting times. I feel like the RA position takes a chunk out of you.
Yeah.
You gotta reel yourself back in. It really is.
It takes a lot out of you, but it also, personally for me, like I think it made me a better person. And also I got a lot of, like, I loved RA training.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed like meeting, like getting, like you said, Jonas, like I obviously knew you before we were on staff together, but I feel like I got so much closer to you, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity if we didn't do RA training. But it definitely, it's like takes a lot out of you.
And like I think with most things in life, there is good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like being able to recognize the difference between those things and being able to like process them individually and not like tell yourself that like the bad is inherent in the good, I think is probably the best way to deal with those things.
So at what point did you decide to really pick yourself up from knowing, you were not in an easy spot? You're halfway through college. You have this great opportunity with debate. You have your living paid for. Some people would look at your situation and think that you got it made. but you were unhappy. So how do you realize that in yourself, and what steps did you take to follow your dreams?
I think it took a lot. It just took a lot of self-reflection and asking myself, like, what do I really want out of my college experience, and what do I really want out of like my life? And I think that, like, you know, I'm someone who I look at a lot of things in my past with a lot of nostalgia, but there's a line in a TV show that I know that Angela watches. I don't know if Hannah watches it, but the line in the show is something like, if you look through life with rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like banners.
Is that BoJack?
That's a BoJack quote, yeah.
I don't watch that, but
it's so good.
Man.
You should really watch it. I know, because didn't we bond over BoJack?
We did bond over BoJack. We watched a bunch of BoJack together in the dorms. Edgy people, yeah. But like, I was like, it took a lot of like just a lot of honesty, and I think that's like part of seeing red flags, because like, if you have been in a relationship with someone and you're happy with them, or even like if you're in like a long-term friendship with them and you've had all these good memories together, like, it takes a lot of honesty to sort of like take off the rose-colored glasses, at least if you're someone like me who romanticizes a lot of my past. And like, I like to think like, oh, freshman year, living in Vista was so fun, but like, it was not fun. I was not having it. There were some dark times, and it's like, but like, it takes a lot of honesty, and it takes a lot of just like mental wherewithal to be able to separate the good and the bad. It's like, yes, there were good times. Yes, there were things I enjoyed. Like, yes, there were people I met who I loved and who I'm still friends with. But like, being honest with yourself about what you need and what you want, I think, is what sort of led me to think like, okay, there were some big red flags when I decided I was going to go to Laverne, and that that I have like an opportunity to, I guess, like break out of that, or to like make to like do something different with myself that I think ended up making me a lot happier. So like, always being honest with yourself about what you need and what you want is like, I think, the best way to identify some of those red flags and make those tough decisions.
That was very well put.
Yeah.
I feel very inspired to follow my dreams.
Drop out of college. Follow your fucking dreams, Hannah. Wait, shit, never mind.
I mean,
drop out of college.
Yeah, but I mean, I could not go to grad school, but for my dreams, I need to go to grad school.
In that case, then you gotta go to grad school.
Yeah.
You gotta go to grad school in that case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is, for our listeners, it's to take some time for yourself and challenge yourself to reflect.
Yeah.
Like, sit in a room by yourself and think. Is that what you would? I mean, do you think those lonelier moments on the weekends like helped you really get into your head and think of what you wanted to do? Do you think those were valuable times in disguise in a way, because you got to think? You think people just don't have time to think?
That's interesting. I mean, I think it depends on the person. Like, I love listening to music and thinking. It's like, I'll like listen to some music, go on a run, reflect about my life, and that's just something I like. It's pensive, it's nice, it's relaxing. But I also think, like, because I'm definitely more of like an extrovert, talking with people, I think, is also a really good way for me to reflect. Like, Angela, I probably talked with you a good bit about this at that point in my life, about me not being happy and like wanting something different. And
yeah, we talked about it a lot.
Yeah. And that is, like, different people have different ways of processing. And I think for me, that's like a way that I like to do it as someone who is more extroverted. That's a good way to go around it.
Hannah, do you do anything to self-reflect when you realize you're not feeling it?
Not anything specific. I do spend a lot of time alone, but I do that in general. I really value my alone time. I'm more of an introvert, even though like people probably wouldn't think that about me, because I am like outgoing and fun and chill. Like, let me just brag about myself really quick.
Do it.
No, but I do really value my alone time. So I guess the one thing I do is drive. Like, I'll drive around.
Yeah.
Whether it be by myself or a lot of times it's with Angela that I think about stuff and I talk it out, like, and singing also, like, if I'm feeling like a certain way, then I'll sing songs that reflect that. And it kind of it serves two purposes, I guess, because it lets me know that, like, I'm not alone. Like, I'm not the only one that's ever felt this way, because sometimes when you listen to a song, it's like, do you like have my brain, or like, how did you know this is exactly how I was feeling?
Yeah.
And then also I just feel physically better after I sing, because it releases a lot of endorphins for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So that serves two purposes, but I guess those are the only two, like, things that I do. But otherwise it's just sitting in my room, listening to music and thinking. I'm not really a huge, like, writing stuff down person sometimes, but I'd rather just process it all in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What about you, Angela?
I do just a mix of everything. I feel like there's so much going on in my head all the time. Like, I'll write something down, I'll walk, like, I'm constantly doing things and thinking with myself. Even when I'm with people, like, I'm always thinking of, like, what's the next thing that's going to happen. And I think I feel like we're talking about the topic of more like how to realize the situation you're in and put yourself in a better situation in the future and reflecting during that. So I think self-reflecting is super, super important and necessary. But then the next step is acting on it. There's a point where you need to pull yourself out of the self-reflection and, like, apply to that thing. Or maybe your goal is to go on that run and start thinking. So it's like a mixture of action and self-reflection. It's a lot. And I'm thinking of the listeners taking in, like, trying to get the advice that they need in order to make themselves happier, especially right now. Like, we've had plenty of time to sit and think about why we're not happy, or why, like, what situation we want to get out of. So acting on it is also really important, but acting on what is what the reflection is for. I feel like I'm just saying things out loud of what's very obvious. But oh,
my phone fell. Sorry.
Seductive angles.
I know.
Red flags are people who I feel like don't nurture you when you want to talk about your feelings, or don't allow you to take that time to self-reflect or try to understand. A red flag in friendship. Someone who denies your feelings, doesn't, like, support you when you want to try something. Like, Hannah, if you want to go to San Francisco, a red flag would be for me to be like, no, stay here with me. Like, no, if you want to go and that's what makes you happy, you should go.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
red flags can definitely happen in friendships too. Like, and I think that's especially, like what I was saying about, like, looking back on things with rose-colored glasses. It's very easy to do that with people you've been friends with for a long time. But, like, if there are, like, someone that you've been friends with a long time, if they, like, like, if you've been friends with them for a long time and they, like, grow up or just change because, you've been friends with them for a really long period of time, it's really easy for them to, like, change and then maybe start being, like, a problem or, like, a red flag. And it's really easy in friendships to be like, oh no, this person's my friend, we've been friends for so long. But, like, you still gotta do that self-reflection to realize, like, hey, there might be some red flags coming up here. That's something definitely that, like, I think a lot of people who, at least like, you know, if you like live in an area and stay in an area for a long time, or if like, you know, you're still close to like people from your hometown, I think that's something that's very easy to happen when you know people for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's something I've come to terms with, especially during this quarantine, is that I saw this quote, and I'm really mad because it was such a good quote, but I don't remember exactly how it was worded. But the gist of it was like, you need to have people in your life who are going to like propel you into the future and not keep you stuck in the past. So it's like, just because you've had this long-term relationship with somebody, friendship, whatever it may be, that doesn't mean that you have to ignore, like you're saying, the red flags and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes, like you were saying, you have to just be honest with yourself and take off those rose-colored glasses and be like, you know what? This isn't working anymore. And that's something that's hard for a lot of people, because losing a friend, losing a relationship is hard. But if it doesn't serve you anymore, it's like, it's not adding to your life, it's only taking away. So you gotta just put
yourself first always, and the positives will come from there. If you're happy, the people around you will be happy. Yeah. Because even if they're not going to ruin your happiness. Don't let them. All right. I think, we've been talking for a good amount of time, about 30 minutes. That's about how long our podcasts are. This has been...
I'm so sorry I was typing for a little bit there. I just had to deal with that really quickly.
Well, you paid us $250, so you can kind of do whatever you want.
That is true. That is fair.
Well, are you in Africa and Europe? Here's
I am right here on this wall. That's where I'm at.
That was a bad joke on my part, not you.
Good.
No,
it's all good. It's bad. It's okay. You can be honest with me.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not honest. I don't know. Girl, what do we think?
What do you think?
We thought of it, and there it was.
We thunk.
Wow, we got a lot of great things talked about. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Jonas Poggi.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Being our first guest.
Do you have anything to plug?
My SoundCloud is no, I'm just kidding. I don't have a SoundCloud. Follow me on Twitter if you want to. It's at Poggi Spaghetti, Poggi, and then spaghetti like the food.
Jonas, I really miss your spaghetti Instagram. I really miss it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we tried to pull it up one time and we couldn't find it. You deleted it?
No, it's still there. It's on private. And I know for sure Hannah follows it.
Oh, so
you can still find it. It's my old Instagram.
Private that? That's a good time.
It is a good time.
I needed to separate my spaghetti life from my personal life.
Understandable.
Yeah. All right.
Keep your eyes out for Jonas Poggi. He's a great guy. He's very active.
If you're ever in the DC area,
that is
hit him up at George Washington University.
All right, so girl, what do you think? Right. Thank you for listening. This is episode 10, and we'll see you next week.